A coroner has concluded that former British soldier Daniel Burke, who was found shot dead 27 miles from the front line in Ukraine last year, was unlawfully killed. The former paratrooper died from several gunshot wounds. Chief Superintendent Lewis Hughes described the findings as an important step.
We hope that today's ruling of unlawful killing goes some way in reassuring Daniel's family and loved ones that this wasn't an accident. Daniel was killed and his family deserve answers. Specialist family liaison officers were sent to support Daniel's family from the outset after he was suspected to have been killed in the Ukraine, to offer support but also to answer any questions his family may have in relation to what will happen during the investigative process that would soon follow. GMP coordinated efforts with UK DVI, the Foreign Office, the British Embassy, Ukrainian law enforcement agencies and also Daniel's family to help repatriate his body and bring him home so his family and friends could finally place him to rest. The conclusion of this inquest has provided an important step forwards for Daniel's family, but we are hopeful that the Ukraine authorities continue the investigative process over there in this case and bring the person responsible to justice.
Charlotte Leeming joins me now. Charlotte, as we heard there from the police officer, there are multiple agencies involved in this, both here in Ukraine, trying to find out what happened to Daniel.
Yeah, and this is the difficulty, really, and it's been the difficulty all along ever since Daniel went missing last August, that there's also a war going on in Ukraine and things are very complex when it comes to the legal system and the practicalities, the logistics. Greater Manchester Police very much have been focusing on the repatriation of Daniel back here for his family, so that they could bury him and you know, sort of pay their respects and get him home here to Manchester. But alongside that is also a frustration with the investigation that's taking place, because of course the family want to know exactly what happened to Daniel. We know he went missing last August. All comms were lost with friends and family, even in Ukraine. He was out in Ukraine with this group he'd set up called Dark Angels, and they were ex-military who were out there using their skills and experience really to offer aid and to help people, particularly who were hurt on the front line, and to get them to hospital. So he was out there doing something he loved, and then suddenly all communication stopped in August, and so police in Ukraine launched this investigation, missing persons at that stage. And then when they questioned one of his friends and colleagues, he then confessed in an interrogation, in an interview, that he had killed Daniel, but he said it was accidental. He said it was accidental discharge. But then there were tests done here in Manchester, in the UK, and forensic scientists and experts said that wasn't the case. They said that it was intentional, that the firearm used couldn't have had an accidental discharge, and so that is where it has led us to now 15, 16 months on, that the coroner here in Manchester has said this was an unlawful killing. He said Daniel was unlawfully killed by someone who purported to be his friend. He died with bravery and valour, killed by cowardice and dishonour. And when it comes to Adam, who was the friend, who is the prime suspect now, we don't know where he is. He fled Ukraine after he'd been questioned by police. So originally from Australia, we're wondering if he's in Australia. The police here say it's not within their legal jurisdiction to, you know, have an international warrant for his arrest. They say that the police in Ukraine are carrying out homicide inquiries, but it's a very difficult time. The family's still waiting for answers, even though they have this today from the coroner. They very much want this person, this prime suspect, brought to justice. We don't know the motive. They were out at a training camp together doing target practice. That's what the suspect said. He said it was accidental, and that is what happened in Ukraine last August. But for the family, that's not enough. We saw his brother just read a very short statement to the press some short time ago, and he couldn't finish his words. It was too emotional for him, and we know that Daniel's father as well is very upset and has been feeling very poorly. So this is going on and on, even though this inquest has said unlawful killing. It's certainly not the end. They want justice. They want this prime suspect found and brought in front of the courts.
Lottie, thanks very much indeed. Let's bring in our defence and security editor, Deborah Haynes, who joins me now from Westminster. And you knew Daniel, didn't you? You met him in Ukraine.
Yes, I met him when he was out there. He's as you were just hearing, he went out to Ukraine to help fight with Ukrainian forces, to use his military skills to help on the ground. And I met him when he was in Mykolaiv in the south. He had spent a lot of time in some of the toughest front lines, and he'd been an experienced soldier in the British Army, and really felt that he was helping the Ukrainians in their fight against Russia. He had been, I know that he had been fighting helping the fight at the beginning when Russian forces were pushing into the south, trying to take Mykolaiv. He was also he was also helping the Ukrainian forces when they were battling to try to keep control of the key city of Bucha, key cities in the east of Ukraine, in the Donbass. He spent a lot of time there, risking his life to try to help the Ukrainians in their war. And then, this awful news happened about his disappearing, and clearly the huge uncertainty as to what had happened to him. There are a number of former British soldiers who have gone to help the Ukrainians in their hour of need, and he absolutely was one of them. He was, a professional soldier serving in the British military, and then deciding to risk his life to go to Ukraine to help the Ukrainians. You can only imagine for his family just how awful the news is of what happened to him, and clearly a lot of questions still to be answered.